What's going on? It's Mando Crusader, and today we're going to be looking at another deck that I came up with for Historic. This time it's another Delver deck, although instead of Is It Delver, which is the direction most people went, including myself, initially with Delver Secrets. This one is going to be Dimir Delver, inspired from the Pauper Dimir Delver archetype, because I'm a big fan of Pauper, and I wanted to see if I could potentially make it work in Historic. Before we get into the deck tech, if you're not interested, there should be a timestamp taking you to the games. We're going to be testing this in best of 1. There is no sideboard accordingly. So yeah, click the timestamp if you're not interested in talking about my card choice, listening to me, I should say, talk about my card choices and whatnot. But before you go, please remember to like and subscribe. Like the video, really helps the channel out. Be sure to subscribe as well, but also it helps the channel out. And comment your thoughts on this deck and your suggestions for cards to add or get rid of. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the deck and the card choices I made. So, this whenever I create a new deck, I always like to see what other people are putting in their deck, so I have some sort of idea of where to start before I add my own touches to it. The problem with the strategy for this archetype is that Historic Delver Dimir Delver, I should say, isn't really a thing. It seems like no one's really tried it. It seems like nobody's really tried it outside of Pauper, in fact. So where I looked for inspiration was the Pauper deck. And you'll notice that a couple of the cards in this deck, mainly Spell Pierce and Augur of Bolas, are sort of the remnants of the Pauper deck that I left in this deck because I thought they were pretty good. Let's talk about those cards first. Spell Pierce is obviously a really nice counter spell. 1 blue mana, instant speed. Of course it's instant speed, what am I talking about? Counter target non-creature spell, unless controller pays 2. Just some general purpose anti-spell counter. That's really, really cheap. You only need to hold up 1 mana for it, which is great if you know you're playing against, let's say, another control deck or like something like that. You only need to hold up 1 mana instead of 2. This is in your hand. And second, we have Augur of Bolas. This is sort of how we maintain card advantage. Unlike Pauper Delver, we don't have cards like Brainstorm in order to keep up the card advantage, and we want to be playing a lot of other things instead of lots of critical mass of draw spells in this deck. And unlike Is It, we don't have expressive iteration either. So instead, we play Augur of Bolas. It's a 1/3 for 1 and a blue, which means it's a relatively decent ground blocker. But in addition, when it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 3 cards and then reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. This is how we get all of our spells into our hand, our memory lapses, our removals, our hand hate, just all of that stuff. This is how we sort of help maintain the flow of the counters, how we maintain the flow of getting rid of our opponent's hand. This is sort of, this is our card advantage generator, basically, a little bit. And I was going to remove it initially, but it actually works surprisingly well. So I kept it in the deck for that reason. Moving on to the other cards in the deck, we've got 4 copies of Consider, which is like an obvious include. It's a great card. 1 blue mana, surveil 1, then draw a card. Just great stuff. Delver, obviously, we're playing a Delver deck, so Delver of Secrets is going to be involved. 1 blue, 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If an instant or sorcery card is revealed this way, transform Delver of Secrets, and it transforms into a 3/2 with flying. This is our main damage dealer. We obviously want this to be flipped as soon as possible. And that's why we're playing such a critical mass of instants and sorceries. 27 of the 60 cards in this deck are instants and sorceries. So you got a relatively decent chance of flipping this turn 2. I have had plenty of turn 2 flips with this. Next up is Otherworldly Gaze. This sort of allows us to smooth out our draws. It allows us to guarantee a Delver flip. Sometimes it's 1 mana, surveil 3. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. This is, and you can flash it back for 2. So it's a great card, just so good, gives you very valuable insight into how your deck is, how your draws are going to be for the next few turns. It allows you to set up a lot of plays. I have many times set up the next turn, draw a Delver, then play it, and then the next turn and the turn after that, I should say, guarantee an instant or sorcery up top to flip it. So, yeah, really great card, and it's instant speed, which makes it even better. Next up, we got 2 copies of Blood Chief's Thirst, just a very nice removal spell. We can destroy any target creature or planeswalker with 2 mana or less for 1 black, or if it was kicked, aka we pay 4, it can destroy any creature or planeswalker. So it's just a typical removal spell. You know, we want to make sure that if we can't counter our opponent's creatures, or we can't get our opponent's creatures out of their hand via Inquisition and Thoughtseize, we want to kill them. This accomplishes that. Next, we've got 2 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek. I was debating whether I should play 2, 3, or 4 copies of this. I settled on 2. But I'm still debating whether I should add another one. Although at this point, I really kind of don't know what to cut. But, anyway, it's 1 black mana. Target player reveals their hand. Choose a non-land card from it with mana value 3 or less, and take it out of their hand. Great card. Thoughtseize, I don't really need to explain this. Easy 4-off. Just take the best card out of your opponent's hand and lose 2 life. Just really good card, obviously. One of the reasons to play black within this shell. Play this shell, I should say. Next up, we got 4 Memory Lapse. This is our mainline counter. It's Memory Lapse, right? It's easy one of the best cards in the format right now. It is the 2 mana counter spell. And, yeah, it's just really good. Next up, we have an inclusion I'm still not sure about. 2 copies of Doomblade, which destroy target non-black creature. I am still debating whether I should have Fatal Push in this spot and put Doomblade in the sideboard to deal with larger creatures, or whether I should have Fatal Push in the sideboard and keep Doomblade in the main board and side it out when I'm dealing with, like, a deck that runs a lot of black creatures. I'm not sure. I know one of those 2 things has to happen, but Doomblade it has saved me many times. It's also screwed me a couple times as well. But yeah, I'm a little undecided on that one. Let me know what you guys think on a Doomblade or Fatal Push. That would be really interesting to hear. Finally, we have 2 copies of Drown in the Loch. This is another card that I'm not quite sure of. Don't get me wrong, it's a great card. The problem is that a lot of times I don't have the required amount of cards in our opponent's graveyard to really take advantage of it. I don't know what to put in its place, but this would be another card that I'm just not sure of, which is why I'm only playing 2 copies of it. However, it has come in clutch a couple of times, just not Dimir Rogue's levels of clutch, unfortunately. Next up, we have our secondary win con, Puppet Stitcher. This is one of the new cards from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So those of you who don't know, for 2 and a blue, you get a 2/3, which is a respectable blocker as well. But whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Puppet Stitcher into Puppet Factory, which is creature tokens you control lose all abilities, aka the Decayed, and have base power and toughness of 3/3, and we can transform it back if we want to. This, like I said, this is our secondary win con. If the Delvers don't quickly beat our opponent to death, our army of hopefully 3/3 zombies will. This also dovetails nicely with our 1 copy of the Scarab God. 3, a blue and a black. 5, big old 5/5. Beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. And since we're creating zombie tokens with Puppet Stitcher, this can get some big numbers. Additionally, we can exile target creature cards from a graveyard, either ours or the opponent's, and create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. And if it gets removed, if it dies on the battlefield, it returns to our hand at the beginning of our next end step. Really, really good card. It comes in clutch sometimes, very rarely, but it's good. It's nice to have. It's really nice to just have, and again, it dovetails very nicely with Puppet Stitcher. Finally, we have the last, maybe addition to this deck, which is a single one-off copy of Professor Onyx. This is, I view it sort of as our escape hatch. You know, if the Delvers didn't work, if the Puppet Stitchers didn't work, if the Scarab God didn't work, this is our last ditch hope win con. Obviously, the Magecraft is really great and works well with all of our instants and sorceries. We can make our opponent sacrifice a creature. We can use this to gain card advantage with the +1. And if we can get to ultimate it, it basically spells the end for our opponent. Yeah, it's just, this is our 4th tier win con, really. And, I'm not completely convinced of it. Maybe I'm not sure if I should remove it for something else. Again, what do you guys think? This is what these videos are for. The testing the deck. As for the mana base, unlike my usual deck testing videos where the mana base is awful and makes me want to cry because it's so bad, this mana base, I actually have the Dimir mana base. So this mana base is actually really nice. It's the proper one. We run 1 Hall of Storm Giants, 1 Hive of the Eye Tyrant, a single copy of Castle Lochvane, 4 islands, 3 swamps, 4 pathways, 4 shocklands, and 3 checklands. And this is a really nice amount of mana. I really, really like it. It works really well. It's really consistent. And especially because our deck is very, very low to the ground, and our 2 expensive creatures, by the time we're ready to play those, we already have lots of mana on the field already. It's already late in the game. So, yeah, it's really, really nice to, it's really, really, really good mana base. Copy this one. This one isn't bad. So, yeah, that's the deck. I did I'm not gonna lie, okay? I did a little bit of testing with this before recording this video, and because I do these videos, like I said, or they're in play queue, and I tested this a little bit in play queue, and it was absolutely ripping it up. So I think this could actually be a really decent deck with just maybe a couple of tweaks. Like, again, maybe me replacing Doomblade with Fatal Push is the answer. I'm not quite sure. If you guys want, I would be happy to try to take this deck into best of 3. I already have some sideboard ideas, mainly 2 to 3 copies of Duress, 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus, copy of Feed the Swarm, either Doomblade or Fatal Push in the sideboard. I've got lots of ideas for sideboard, so again, also comment if you'd let me take this in the best of 3 and see how we can do there. But I think we've had enough talking. Let's take this deck into the play queue and let's see how it does. All right. Let's see. This is actually a pretty decent opening hand right here. I think I'm gonna keep that one. We got Spell Pierce, Memory Lapse, Augur, good mix of mana, and a Thirst. Play out a Clearwater. And a Delver. Azorius, Jeskai. Alright. Lightning Helix on the Delver. So we're probably going to get some very, 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 very good use out of these Spell Pierces. Pass the turn. Play the Augur. Veto? Memory Lapse? Or Resolve? Resolves. Alright. Grab the Thoughtseize. And pass the turn. The Augur's probably going to get Lightning Helix, I would imagine. Alright. Let's Inquisition. Mystical Dispute. I would like to Spell Pierce that Mystical Dispute. Memory Lapse, second Mystical Dispute, and Prismari Command, along with a Shark Typhoon and Commit Memory. Alright. I'm gonna take the Prismari Command. That seems like a much more dangerous card. We can counter the counters. We can play around those. We can't really play around the Memory Lapse. The Prismari Command. Is he going to try again? Question mark? He did not. Top deck Lightning Helix. You can even play around that. I'd much rather get rid of the Shark Typhoon. Card draw is bad. We don't want our opponent drawing cards. We definitely don't want them drawing cards with Search for Exotica. This will get countered. But thankfully, I have a solution to that. Is he going to lapse it? Is he going to Mystical Dispute it? Memory Lapse. Spell Pierce the Memory Lapse. while we have 2 memory lapses in hand. Alright then. Let's see. Let's thought seize it up. If they mystical dispute this, we're just going to let it resolve. A memory lapse of their own. Yeah, let's just take their memory lapse. As we slowly poke away with our auger. Relic of Progenitus. Doomblade is a little dead in this match, considering they aren't really playing creatures. Then again, well, actually, Bloodchief's Thirst probably isn't dead. Okay. I exile a card. A land drop. That probably isn't what they wanted there. I don't really know what they think they're accomplishing with, the relic. I really don't have anything for my graveyard to do. But it's there, I suppose. Not like I'm playing, Arcanist or anything. Alright. I'm gonna play another Augur of Bolas. This one resolves. Grab the Otherworldly Gaze. Is one of them finally getting helixed? Because now he will be doing 2 damage per turn. Shark Typhoon. I should have known. Relic. Let's see, what's that extra card they have in hand? That's what I want to know. Let's Otherworldly Gaze. I'm going to put that Doomblade into the graveyard. And draw that Delver. Additionally, we're going to use this Doomblade on the token, try to bait one of their counters. Alright. No counters from the opponent. Now, Delver won't flip next turn. But hopefully we can get in at least 1 hit with a flipped Delver. Alright, our opponent does nothing. Try to play Otherworldly Gaze again. I would love to resolve your memory lapse. I think that's his third. I'm hoping he may be running out of counters while I'm still holding mine up. Otherworldly Gaze myself. As we swing for 3? Question mark? Unless he has Shatter the Sky. Lightning Helix. The Delver. Results. Of course, there isn't really much for that Bloodchief's Thirst to do now. Another land. Still have Commit and Mystical Dispute. We don't want that Commit to... We don't want him to use that Commit. Otherworldly Gaze again. There's the Commit. Alright. We need to hold up the memory lapses for the memory half of Commit Memory. Because they're definitely going to try that this turn. Relic of Progenitus. Still doing its thing, I see. Drawn in the lock. That is definitely what we like to see. Another land from our opponent. Their graveyard is also nice and full, so that acts as basically an unconditional counter. We'll hold our Consider for our next, for their end step. We have lethal in 2 turns. Just wanted to point that out. There is Memory. They will Mystical Dispute. They have to Mystical Dispute. Okay. They can Lightning Helix that if they would like. Are they going to Mystical Dispute? Okay. May I ask why I didn't get a chance? Why am I roping? What? What? I think the game just screwed me over there. Actually, I don't think the game screwed me over there. I know the game just screwed me over there. I should have been able to memory lapse the memory. I should have been able to memory lapse that. Well, I'll memory lapse this expressive iteration, and I'll win the game. That's game. Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't allowed to play my second counter spell, but, it didn't matter in the end, though. We still pulled it out, and that's all that matters. Alright. Alright, let's see. Yeah, this looks nice. Turn 1 Thoughtseize into turn 2 Delver, into hopefully turn 3 Flip. We could even otherworldly gaze before we play Delver to ensure a flip. But I think I will take my chances with luck. Let's see. Opponent takes a mulligan. Alright. Let's Thoughtseize it up. Get rid of the Allosaurus Shepherd. Because we definitely want to be able to counter our opponent's spells. Play the Delver. Pass the turn. Clan Caller. Flip Delver the turn after we play it. Bloodchief's Thirst the Clan Caller. And swing in for 3. When they play their next creature, we can simply Doomblade it. There's Elvish Clan Caller. We are going... It does die to Doomblade. And next up, I think it's time for a little Thoughtseize. And let's just yoink that Collected Company. Attack. Do we get a block? We do not. What a top deck. Come on. Come on. You didn't just top deck that. Come on. Spell Pierce is extremely dead in this matchup, by the way. I want that island. Eventually I want to play our Scarab God. But let's play a little gaze. Let's get rid of the pathway. We'll play Scarab God next turn. That should hold the ground for us. And unless they top deck Collected Company, which they do not, we can play Delver. And we're going to create a zombie of their Elvish Clan Caller. That's fine. Killing their Jaspera Sentinel is acceptable. I will not reveal that. And I would like something other than Poppet Stitcher. All right, I guess we're getting Poppet Stitcher. Opponent gets Collected Company. And there's the second Archdruid. And now they just do. Now it's just go. Now it's just go wide. That's all they have to do. Just go wide. I would like to kill one of those Archdruids. Just tone down their entire field. No attacks. Pass the turn. Opponent top decks a land. Which is fine. I would not like to reveal that card. I'll take that away. Actually, do I? Yes. Okay. Put out. Actually, let's not put out Augur of Bolas just yet. Let's take his Elvish Archdruid. And create another token. This will allow us to flip Puppet Stitcher if we so desire. And yeah, alright. That is game. The top decks could not save our opponent. So, yeah, this deck even has a... If you can get the right cards out, obviously, you have a pretty decent matchup against really aggressive decks like Elves. If you can manage to play the tempo game well enough. And he even got a very lucky top deck Archdruid and a top deck Collected Company as well. So, but yeah, this is why we put the Scarab God in here. He does the work. He really does the work. Alright. Let's see what we have here. I don't know about that one. That's a little iffy. I'm a bit more confident with this. He'd have to have been otherworldly. very alright. Yep. Play it. Do it. Good games. So, yeah, that about does it for Dimir Delver. I really like playing this deck. It's super fun. It does well in the play queue. Obviously, like, hyper aggressive decks like Goblins, for instance, do have a bit of an edge against it, but we also saw that it can hold its own against those decks, like we did in that Elves matchup. Additionally, it can even stand up to Jeskai Control a little bit, which is sort of the boogeyman of the format right now. It's nice in best of 1. I think that this deck would be even better in best of 3, considering best of 3's matches are typically, matches and decks, I should say, are typically a little slower than best of 1 matches. And this deck, obviously, it's more of a, it's not a pure control deck, but it's definitely a mid-range deck. And, it wants to be in those, like, slightly slower matchups. So I personally think this would be even better in best of 3. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know, do you have any suggestions for cards to add, cards to remove? I think this deck is, like, super close. And if you have any suggestions to get over that last little hurdle, feel free to, give them to me. I love your guys' suggestions. Also, remember to like, subscribe, really helps the channel out. And yeah, that's about it. See you around.